What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Patient X Holistic Healing, where we discuss the mental, physical, and spiritual aspects of healing, right? Now, today's video is going to be a very down-to-earth one. We're going to talk about why I don't drink, party, or smoke anymore. If you've done any of these things, make sure to leave a like and comment your experience down below. Comment why you do or don't do these anymore. Hopefully, I could give you a little insight to my journey and the possible effects these things can have on you, right? If you haven't seen me before, my name is Professor X, and I will be your healing coach and spiritual teacher today. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, we're gonna talk about partying, right? I think that was like the first thing I started doing. I stopped partying and drinking around the same time. Smoking came a little later, but I stopped partying around like 19, 20 years old. And I did because, point blank period, partying, especially for minorities and for women, is dangerous. It's just dangerous, period. It's very dangerous. And it's not worth the danger. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other ways to get that same adrenaline rush that you would get at a party. You could even go like to certain clubs. I mean, clubbing is basically partying. I've never been to clubs. That's not my type of lifestyle. But house parties specifically, because that's what I was going to, you know what I'm saying? I was in high school, like straight out of high school, going to house parties. And it's not regulated. Like nobody hires anybody to do security. You always hear, oh, there's going to be security at the party, blah, 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 blah. Like, it don't ever be security at these parties, bro. Like, that's just the reality. And you don't want to be in a situation where people are just bringing in guns. People are bringing in weapons and knives. People are bringing in unsolicited drugs. People are being predators, because that's the type of scene a predator would be attracted to. If I was a predator, I'm going to hang around all of the high school parties. Real talk. And I know that sounds funny, but it's good to put yourself in the mental state of these people and what they do and why they do it. You know what I'm saying? For example, a big problem with parties growing up for me was roofies. It wasn't a big problem for me, but I knew a lot of people in high school and after high school getting roofied, and it was like a roofie epidemic. And it was always the same type of people getting roofied. You might not identify with this piece of information. This is just from my personal experience in life. It was always the same type of people getting roofied. They very like carefree individuals, outwardly, but on the inside, like they care a lot and they have a lot of repressed emotions. Some people be empathic, but they alter themselves around a social setting. Now, I'm not saying that these people are dumb and they're just the type of person to get roofied because of their actions. Although that is definitely a part of it. The main reason why these people are susceptible to roofies is because these are the type of people that men especially target. You know what I'm saying? They will target you if they see that, outside you was doing this, but inside you're doing that, because it presents that you are loose and you are open to whatever they have going on, right? I've only known girls to get roofied, but men get roofied too, When I go in public, even back then, like I don't drink from wherever I'm at. I bring in some drinks or I bring in my water, because I'm on straight water now. I don't drink, but like I would bring in whatever I need to, or just not take anything from there. Growing up, my big thing was like weed and marijuana, so I would only just bring me some like blunts or whatever. But I stopped doing that, and I'm gonna get to that a little bit later. But the last thing about parties is like, you don't want to be in a situation where the police come, because every party police come. That's just a given. I don't know where you live, but where I live, the police always come. It's party hopping is a thing. It's like the parties only last for like 10 to 30 minutes after you get there. It doesn't matter if it's been running all night. As soon as you get there, the police always come. That's my experience. So, like I say, you don't want to be in a situation where you're running from the police. Feel me? That happened to me and my people a few times. You don't want to be in a situation where You know, you're running out of a house because guns was fired and all type of stuff. Somebody got killed. Like, I know that's a part of it for a lot of people. You know, hopefully it's not a part of it for you watching this video, but that is a part of it. You know, they want shit like that to happen because it gives them something to talk about and it gives them a story to tell, you know? But that's a very dangerous mentality. Like, I talk about this in one of my other videos. I should probably make a full video about these type of people. You know, they're the type of people who really need dysfunction in life. You know, they're like chaos beings. You know, that's not what I'm gonna really call them if I do make a video about it, but right now that's what I'm gonna refer to them as. You know, they need some type of dysfunction and incoherence. It like they feed off of it, you know what I'm saying? And it's not a bad thing, but you can twist that for more productive things, you know? But next we're gonna get into why I stopped drinking. You know, I stopped drinking because I had I almost got alcohol poisoning one time. Like, I'm mind you, I'm skinny as fuck. I weigh like 130 pounds. Back then I weighed like 120. So I drank like around 10 plus shots, and that was like the dumbest shit I could have did. Like, you could actually die. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that, but like, I be living on God mode. I kind of still do that, but I like don't do this type of activities. Like, but I do be moving like I'm gonna make it. That being said, I barely made it that night. It was my first time even being that drunk. And I came home and I threw up everywhere. Like, I'm talking everywhere. And I hated that feeling. And then the next day, like, I had school the next day. Luckily, my homie and me carpool, so usually I would drive him. But that day he drove me. He just drove me to the little movie theater behind my school. And he was like, shit, chill here until I get out of school. But yeah, bro, I was knocked out. Number one, I was so inexperienced that I didn't know that you could go to bed drunk and wake up drunk. I did not know that. I thought you just sleep that shit off and then with a hangover. Like, no. No. I'm gonna do a whole video about the effects of alcohol on your system, but the alcohol is still in your system. And basically, when you drink, the alcohol goes into your stomach. Eventually, it absorbs into your bloodstream, and your blood is like, fuck, we got too much alcohol in here. So it tries to get filtered through the kidneys, and the kidneys are like, shit, we can't even really process this, bro. And then it passes it back through the blood, and then it's literally a cycle. Your blood is trying to get filtered through the kidneys, your kidneys cannot filter it. Your blood is trying to get filtered through the kidneys, your kidneys cannot filter it. That's why it takes so long to get sober off of drinking a lot, because that shit just sits in your bloodstream. Your kidneys can only process a little bit of alcohol at a time, because alcohol is literally poison. And I'm gonna make a whole separate video about that. But it was just very out of character for me to be drinking anyway. I never drank because of social pressures either. I drank because of like my own, I guess, vices. Like, I was really trying to stop smoking weed. I soon found out that drinking was not a suitable replacement. But then we're gonna get into why I stopped smoking. Right now, marijuana is not bad. It's probably the least deadly on this list, to be honest. The other two are truly deadly. I don't advocate for any intake of any of the partying or the drinking, but smoking is a little different. Me personally, I have a no tolerance policy. You feel me? Maybe like a once in a lifetime, like once a year type situation. Like, but it's like after I do it, I'd be like, damn, that shit was weak. Like, I didn't even need to do that for. I could have stayed sober, because I like the feeling of being sober. And I actually learned, this is going to be my next video, but I learned how to induce these states while being sober, you know, so I could get high sober through certain spiritual and mental practices, you feel me? It's called biohacking, but that's going to be the next video. Me personally, I stopped smoking because weed was fucking up my memory real bad, and I couldn't function on some normal shit, you know? I would literally be doing this shit, looking for my phone with the flashlight on, like looking for my phone and getting mad as fuck, like, fuck, I can't find my phone, and this shit is in my hand, you know, because I'm just too high. And shit like that would happen every day, you know. It wasn't even, I would never get skipped. You know, the effects weed has on unmature brains is actually very bad too. That's probably gonna get its own video as well, where I break down actual science. But weed fucks up your neural pathways. You gotta understand the endocannabinoid system that the THC runs through is directly linked to perception. So if your perception of reality gets incoherent, it's gonna fuck with a lot of processes of the brain. But I'm gonna go more in depth in another video. All you gotta know right now is that for me, weed was more of like, it was like a petty vice, you know, like it was something that I'll fall back on. It's probably the thing I got most addicted to, like, ever. I didn't get addicted to weed because weed is addictive. I got addicted to weed because I have an addictive personality. Now, weed is definitely addictive. I hate talking to them people. You know, they be like, oh, you know, I'm not addicted to weed. I like smoking weed, but I could stop whenever I want to. And it be the niggas who literally smoke like 3+ times a day, and they have not had a tolerance break ever. You know, like, you might gotta admit that you're addicted, bro. Feel me? All of my homies, they recognize that weed is an addiction. Like, it's a habit. It's habit forming. So they consciously reduce their weed intake or mix the weed with other herbs. And that's the way to go, because weed is a powerful medicine if you use it right, you know. But I was not using it right. I was abusing it. And even when I stopped abusing it, like, I stopped abusing it probably like 2 years ago. You know, I before that I had to smoke every day. I had to. After that it was more like I smoke once a month, you know, whenever. But I really had to sit myself down, like, why the fuck am I smoking once a month? Like, I'm not really gaining nothing out of this shit. And the highs were always too strong too. Like, earlier I said that it was weak, and that's why I started, like, no, I live in California. The weed here is strong as shit. And people don't even know until they leave the state. People in California be so locked in with weed that they get used to it, you know. But when you leave the state and you try and look for some good weed, it's hard, bro, because our shit is just that powerful. I'm gonna do a whole video on weed specifically and what it does to your brain. Just like alcohol, I'm gonna go over like all of the different drugs that I've experienced and how they change your biochemistry, because that's very important to know. And I feel like if a lot of people really knew in depth what it was doing to them, they would stop. They probably wouldn't stop immediately, because addiction is just one of them ones, but they would definitely stop eventually, because that information just sits in the back of your conscious, and then every time you do it, it's like mentally you perceive like you're killing yourself, you know. If you need a substance or you need an experience to function, if you need anything outside of yourself to help you keep going, you're addicted to something. I don't know what it is, but you don't want that to continue. And let me explain why. It's very simple. People always say they want to be free. Especially, you'll notice amongst people who do drugs that they do it because it makes them feel free. It makes it seem like all of the problems go away. When they're partying, when they're dancing, all the problems go away. But what you're doing is delaying the perception of your own enslavement. You know, basically what you're doing is signing your name down for the slave trade, and then you don't realize that you've been enslaved until maybe 10-20 years down the line, where you're truly an addict and you can't function without whatever that thing is. And now that thing is just hovering over you with the puppeteer hands. Like, that's real. I've seen it. Like, please trust me. That's why I'm making this video. This is a holistic health channel, and I'm on here talking about why I don't fucking party no more. Like, you might not think these things correlate, but I promise you they do. Addiction is the worst epidemic in our society today, period. They don't have all of the statistics on it because they don't classify addiction as what they should. Honestly, they only classify addiction when it comes to drugs. But people are addicted to their phones, they're addicted to TV, they're addicted to food, they're addicted to experiences, they're addicted to work. Like, people are borderline addicted to everything. Addiction is the worst problem on earth, period. And it probably always has been. If you really go to some of these drug infested areas of the United States, you know, downtown LA, any type of big city really, but go to Skid Row in downtown LA. Tell me that shit don't look like some sort of slave labor camp where they just like, that shit looks like a concentration camp. Real talk. Without the gates. Everybody's just mentally caged in this big ass row of people sleeping on top of each other in tents and piles. Like that's the true slavery. You know what I'm saying? That and prison. Prison is more slavery than that, to be honest. But those people are mentally enslaved. But anyway, that's it for this video. I know it might have been a little bit in left field for some people, but I promise you, this is very relevant to this channel. And I'm always talk about the adjacent aspects of health, because addiction is very real. And the reason why the title of this video is called "The Reason Why I Don't Do This, That, and the Third Anymore" is because I don't like addiction. I don't want to be addicted to things, period. I don't care what it is. So I cut all of these things out of my life because I have an addictive personality, and I recognize that about myself. It's the ultimate form of self-love to sacrifice all of these things. But anyway, that's it for this video. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Feel me? Leave a comment if you have anything to add to the conversation below. Like I said, if you still do these things or you want to stop doing these things, make sure to leave your experience in the comments, right? Make sure to hype up the video and boost me in the algorithm. And much love and blessings to all of y'all. This has been Patient X Holistic Healing. My name is Professor X, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.